COVID-19 officials hunt Basel virus variants. COVID-19 officials hunt Basel virus variant case in England. Health officials are trying to trace one person in England who has been infected with a concerning variant of coronavirus first found in Basel.
Brazil.
They are one of 6 cases of the P1 variant found in the UK in February. The person did not complete a test registration form, so remains unidentified, prompting an appeal for anyone without the results from a test on 12 or 13 of February to come forward. Neighbors said there had been a lack of a comprehensive border system. The P1 variant was first detected in travelers to Japan from Manus in northern Brazil in January. Health Secretary Matt Hancock will hold a meeting later to update MPs from all parties about the variants. There have been concerns vaccines may not be as effective against the variants, but NHS England's Prof. Stephen Porras said vaccines could be rapidly adapted. Dr. Susan Hopkins from Public Health England said the UK was more advanced than many other countries at identifying the variants and mutations, and therefore was able to act quickly in an attempt to find the unidentified person in England who was infected with the P1 variant. Officials are asking anyone who took a test on 12 or 13 of February and who has not received a result or has an uncompleted test registration card to come forward immediately by calling 119. The unidentified England case is not linked to 5 other UK cases. 3 of those cases are Scottish residents who flew to Aberdeen from Bristol while previous in London, the Scottish government said. Hollywood. Hollywood said the 3 people tested positive while self-isolating. Other passengers who were on the same flight to Aberdeen are now being contacted. The other 2 cases in England are from the same household in South Gloucestershire after someone returned from Bristol on the 10th of February, 5 days before the government's hotel quarantine rule came into force. 2 other people in the same household have also since tested positive for COVID, but tests are still ongoing to check if it is the same variant, so they are not included in the overall UK total of 6. Flight appeal. PHE said officials were tracking down passengers who were on Swiss Air flight LX318 from Sao Paulo to Heathrow, while Switch landing on the 10th of February. Sarah Blackmore, South Gloucestershire's Public Health Director, said fast action by her local team means the two cases were a very contained situation. She told Video 4's Today program that everyone in 5 postcode areas of South Kazakhstan was being invited to take a COVID test, even if they do not have symptoms. But she said the extra testing was a precautionary measure, and the risk to the community was low. Officials hunt
Officials hunt Brazil virus variant case in England. Professor Stephen Powys. Professor Stephen Powys.
Professor Stephen Powys. Professor Stephen Powys. Susan Hopkins.
Susan Hopkins.
Susan Hopkins. Scottish.
Holyrood. Aberdeen. Gloucestershire. Gloucestershire. Swiss Air Flight LX318 from Sao Paulo to Heathrow, via Zurich.
Swiss Air Flight LX318 from Sao Paulo to Heathrow via Zurich.
Swiss Air Flight LX318 from Sao Paulo to Heathrow, via Zurich.
Heathrow, Zurich, Gloucestershire, Sarah Blackmore.
Sarah Blackmore, South Gloucestershires.
Gloucestershire. COVID-19 officials hunt Brazil virus variant case in England. Health officials are trying to trace one person in England who has been infected with a concerning variant of coronavirus first found in Brazil. Brazil,
Brazil,
Brazil, found in Brazil. They are one of 6 cases of the P1 variant found in the UK in February. The person did not complete the test registration form, so remains unidentified, prompting an appeal for anyone without a result from a test on 12 or 13 of February to come forward. Neighbors said there had been a lack of a comprehensive border system. The P1 variant was first detected in travelers to Japan from Manaus, from Manaus in northern Brazil in January. Health Secretary Matt Hancock will hold a meeting later to update MPs from all parties about the variants. There have been concerns vaccines may not be as effective against the variant, but NHS England's Professor Stephen Puri said vaccines could be rapidly adapted. Dr. Susan Hopkins from Public Health England said the UK was more advanced than many other countries at identifying the variants and mutations, and therefore was and therefore was a and therefore was and therefore 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 was and therefore was and therefore was able to act quickly in an attempt to find the unidentified person in England who was infected with the P1 variant. Officials are asking anyone who took a test on 12 or 13 of February and who has not received the result or has an uncompleted test registration card to come forward immediately by calling 119. The unidentified England case is not linked to 5 other UK cases. 3 of those cases are Scottish residents who flew to Aberdeen from Brazil, while Paris to London, and Scottish government said. Hollywood said the 3 people tested positive while self-isolating. All the passengers who were on the same flight to Aberdeen are now being contacted. The other 2 cases in England are from the same household in South Gloucestershire, Gloucestershire, South Gloucestershire, after someone returned from Brazil on the 10th of February, 5 days before the government's hotel quarantine rule came into force. 2 other people in the same household have also since tested positive for COVID, but tests are still ongoing to check if it is the same variant, so they are not included in the overall UK total of 6. Flight appealed. PHE said officials were tracking down passengers who were on Swiss Air flight LX318 from Sao Paulo to Heathrow, while through Surrey, landing on the 10th of February. Sarah Blackmore, South Gloucestershire's public health director, said fast action by her local team missed the 2 cases were a very contained situation. She told Video 4's Today program that everyone in 5 postcode areas of South Gloucestershire was being invited to take a COVID test, even if they do not have symptoms. But she said the extra testing was a precautionary measures, and the risk to the community was low. Analysis by Michelle Roberts, health editor. The Brazil variant is something officials are worried about because the Brazil variant is something officials are worried about, but because it shares similar mutations to the South Africa variant of concern. Both have undergone genetic changes that could make them more contagious, and perhaps less easy to stop with our current vaccines.
Contagious.
Contagious and perhaps less easy to stop with our current vaccines. The coronavirus jabs being given to people now will decide around easier versions of the pandemic virus, lost these new variants. Scientists believe they should still protect, although perhaps not quite as well. Work is already underway to redesign or tweak the vaccines to make them a better match for some of these new variants of concern. These updated vaccines could be ready within months, meaning the UK would have millions of doses ready to give people a booster shot before next winter to make sure the population is protected. There will be more cases out there of new variants that have not yet been identified. While it may not be possible to eliminate them, the determination is there to slow the spread of coronavirus, including new variants. Sticking to the social distancing rules will help. Shadow Home Secretary Nick Thomas Simmons said the news of the variants was deeply concerning and that it was vital everything was done to contain it. But this is further proof that the delay in introducing a hotel quarantine was weakness and to continuing refusal to put in place a comprehensive system levels us exposed to mutations coming from overseas, he added. But this is further proof that the delay in introducing a hotel quarantine was reckless and the continuing refusal to put in place a comprehensive system that was exposed to mutations coming from overseas, he added. The hotel quarantine rule came into force on the 15th of February. It means that travelers coming to England from 33 countries, including Brazil, must pay to quarantine in a hotel for 10 days, while in Scotland, the rule applies to travelers from all countries. Before that day, travelers arriving into the UK still needed to self-isolate in their homes for 10 days. All travelers to the UK also need to present a negative COVID test taken a maximum of 72 hours before their departure. It comes as the UK announced another 6,035 cases of coronavirus and reported that a further 144 people had died within 28 days of a positive test. But a milestone in the vaccination program was reached, with more than 20 million people having received their first dose of the vaccine. Myanmar crop Aung San Suu Kyi appears in court to face fresh charges. Myanmar's Aung San Suu Kyi.
Aung San Suu Kyi.
Myanmar's Aung San Suu Kyi has been seen by her lawyers for the first time since she was detained during a military coup a month ago. Ms. Suu Kyi, Aung San Suu Kyi, Ms. Suu Kyi, who appeared in court via video link, appeared to be in good health and asked to see her legal team, her lawyer said. She has been held in an undisclosed location since the coup on the 1st of February. Protesters took to the streets again on Monday, despite Sunday seeing the deadliest day yet with 18 killed. The death comes as the military and police ramped up its response to demonstrations across the Southeast Asia nation over the weekend, firing into the crowds. However, protesters were once again those in force on Monday, demanding the elected government be restored and Ms. Suu Kyi and other leaders of her party, the National League for Democracy, be released from detention. Detention. The military say it seized power because of alleged fraud in November's general elections, which saw the NLD win by a landslide. It has provided no proof of these allegations, although it has replaced the Election Commission and promised fresh polls in a year. Where has Ms. Suu Kyi been? Ms. Suu Kyi was placed under house arrest when the coup began in the 1st of February and had not been seen in public until today's hearing, when she appeared via video link at the court in the capital, Naypyidaw. Ms. Suu Kyi originally faced 2 charges of illegally importing walkie-talkies and violating Myanmar's natural disaster law, but further charges were added on Monday, including breaching COVID-19 restrictions during the election campaign and for causing fear and alarm. The initial charges carried a sentence of up to 3 years in jail. It is not clear what punishments the new charges might carry. The case has been adjourned until the 15th of March. Myanmar Now reported on Monday that ousted President Win Myint A key ally of Mitsuki has also been charged for incitement under the Penal Code. Mitsuki's popularity has soared in Myanmar. Soared in Myanmar since her arrest, but her international reputation still remains tarnished by allegations that she turned a blind eye to ethnic cleansing of the Muslim minority.
Tarnished. Muslim minority Rohingya community.
Muslim minority Rohingya community. What else is happening today? Protests have erupted again in multiple cities across the country. According to news agency AFP, one crash saw unnamed protesters fleeing after a volley of shots were fired. It is unclear if these were live rounds or rubber bullets. The agency added that in Yangon, demonstrators were seen using makeshift items like bamboo pools, shovels, and even tree branches to erase barricades across streets. Photos also showed tear gas being used. Photos also showed tear gas being used against protesters.